Hello, I'm Erin and I'm really pleased to be here with you today looking at mental health. I'm a mental health nurse by background and I'm also a member of Life Central Church. And certainly over the last few weeks, discussions with Leon and with the leadership team, it's very clear that this church cares about mental health. So we thought it'd be really good just to look at mental health in a little bit more detail in terms of how do you look after your mental health? Where do you get help? And actually, what can you do to care for others during this time? So we're going to look a little bit at anxiety today. Now, anxiety is often confused for worry. Worry is good, worry is needed, anxiety is needed in small amounts because actually it does keep us safe. We should be anxious about crossing a road, we should be looking both ways to make sure there's no traffic coming. But what happens when anxiety takes over every thought and becomes part of your everyday? If you've ever suffered with anxiety, or if you care for a friend or a family member with anxiety, you may know that it really can be debilitating, it can be really crippling, and it can stop you living life to the full. Anxiety, as I say, is a perfectly normal response within us. In terms of the science behind it, we do actually need that fight or flight response in order to keep ourselves safe, as I've mentioned earlier. But if you are having a fight or flight response, if you're getting a sweaty brow, if your pulse is going, if your heart is beating at times where it wouldn't normally, that can feel really unsettling and that can feel really difficult and really hard. And what I would like to do today is just look at a top few tips that can help us deal with anxiety, that can help us deal with anxious thoughts. One of my favourite exercises to do around about anxiety is one called Take Your Thought to Court. I don't know about you, but sometimes I have thoughts over and over again that aren't too helpful and that aren't very positive. I may have a thought such as, I'm never going to be able to do this. I'm never going to be able to complete this. And what I need to do with that thought is take that thought to court. So you've seen court, right? It's got a jury, it's got a judge. And what I'm going to do with that thought is I'm going to look at the facts behind the thought and I'm going to look at the for and for the against. And then I'm going to decide what the judge says as to whether that thought's true. So for the purpose of this exercise, let me take a really unhelpful thought, perhaps one round about, I'm not good enough, I've disappointed everyone. If I'm having that thought, what I want to look at is, what is the evidence for that thought? When I look at that thought, I can't find any evidence for that because actually I know that there are lots of areas in my life where I have actually managed to achieve and where I have been a good support to others and where others have fed back that they're thankful for my help. So I've got evidence against that thought. The evidence is that I have done well previously, that I have helped out others, that people have found my support valuable. And I can't find any evidence to support the thought that I'm not any good and that people are going to be disappointed with me. Therefore, when I take that thought to court and present the evidence to the jury, the judge is going to tell me that that thought is not true. And I'm going to be able to feel satisfied in the knowledge that I've fully explored that. So perhaps you're having thoughts that are quite tricky. Perhaps you're having negative thoughts over and over again that are making you feel quite anxious. Can I encourage you to take those thoughts to court, to look at the evidence behind those thoughts? Perhaps if you're a parent and you're supporting a young person with anxiety who is having negative thoughts, perhaps you can support them in taking their thought to court. We have some fantastic videos on our Birmingham Children's Hospital website. We're going to put the link up for you afterwards. And there's some great videos on there round about how to support a child with anxiety or a young person with anxiety. Something else that can be really helpful in terms of managing anxiety is something that we call grounding. And grounding really is just being able to take our attention off whatever's making us feel anxious and to be able to bring us back into the moment and to feel relaxed. And there's a few ways that you can do that. You might have heard of them before. We have the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 exercise. So that's when we think about 5 things we can see and we look at 4 things we can hear, 3 things we can touch, 2 things we can smell, and 1 thing that we can taste. And I find that really helpful when I'm feeling a little bit upset or I'm feeling a little bit worried or indeed I'm feeling very anxious. To actually take time to notice, what am I seeing? What am I hearing? What am I tasting? What am I smelling? Use these exercises to be able to help bring you back into the moment, to be able to take a moment and pause and think, where am I now and how am I doing? In terms of how you're doing, I cannot express enough how much as a church we want to support you in caring for your mental health. So if you are feeling anxious, if you are finding that you're having thoughts over and over again that are distracting you from being able to live in a way in which you would want, please do seek help. Your GP is an excellent source of support, as is your Connect group leader. Think about what it is you need in order to be able to help yourself. What is it others that can perhaps do for you? And what can God do for you in these moments? Often we will find that people refer to verses in the Bible round about anxiety, looking at laying all your burdens down to Jesus, peace that surpasses all understanding. And whilst we believe as a church that God absolutely wants to come and heal us of anxiety and anxious thoughts, we do also recognise that sometimes these verses aren't enough. We do need to then step out and we need to physically tell someone how we're doing, and we need to get some further support. So please do get some further support if you need it. If you're not needing further support, but you're spotting someone that you think needs some support round about anxiety, round about anxious thoughts, then please do ask them the question, how are you doing? I've noticed that you seem anxious. Can I do anything to help? It's really important that we speak out about these issues. We don't want to shy away. We want to live life to the full. And living life to the full means taking care of our physical health as much as our mental health. So please do get in touch with your Connect group leaders. Have a look on the Life Central website. There are lots of resources on there that you can check out round about organisations for support during this time. And we'll see you really soon.